Good morning, my dear students. Welcome to the class on history. We are dealing with the different organs of UN. We had completed two of them in the previous class. The first one was General Assembly. Second was the Security Council. I hope you have clear with those two topics that I told you in the previous class. The General Assembly and the Security Council. I hope things are clear for you. Now we move on to the next one, the third one, that is titled as International Court of Justice. This is the third organ that we need to understand, we need to study. That is known as the International Court of Justice. The most important element is that this is known as a judicial organ of United Nations. Judicial organ. International Court of Justice is known as the judicial organ of the United Nations. So remember, General Assembly was the legislative organ, Security Council was the executive organ. Now, International Court of Justice is the judicial organ of the United Nations. Now, his headquarters is a place called Hague. His headquarters is the place called Hague, and it was established in 1946. So it is a judicial organ. Headquarters is in the place called Hague, and it was established in 1946. And this particular International Court of Justice has got two roles. The dual roles, which means there are two important roles performed by International Court of Justice. The first one, settle legal disputes submitted to it by the states. It means the members who are part of UN, if there is any legal dispute, they will submit that particular case in International Court of Justice. So what does it do? The International Court of Justice has to settle the legal disputes submitted to it by the member states. That's the first role, to settle legal disputes. Settle legal disputes. This is the first role. Now moving on to the second one. What is the second role of it? Second role is to give advisory opinions. Second role is to give advisory opinions. To provide advisory opinions on legal questions referred to it by the international organs and agencies. So these are the two important roles practiced by International Court of Justice. The first one, to settle legal disputes submitted to it by the members. Second, to give advisory opinion to the organs and the agencies of the United Nations. I hope it is clear. Now moving on to the next, what is the composition of International Court of Justice? There are 15 judges. 15 judges elected for a term of 9 years. So the term is 9 years, and the International Court of Justice may or may not include more than one judge from any nationality. So there are 15 judges elected for the term of 9 years, and it may not include more than one judge from any nationality. And how do they conduct the elections? How do they conduct the elections? The elections are done every 3 years for 1/3 of the seats. It means 3 years, 1/3 of seats. So election is done every 3 years for 1/3 of the seats, and the retiring judges may be re-elected. Okay, and the members who are part of International Court of Justice, they do not represent their governments. If there is a judge from India in the International Court of Justice, that particular judge does not represent the government of India in UN. Instead, they are independent magistrates. That's important. You have to remember. The judges of the International Court of Justice, they do not represent their governments in the particular International Court of Justice. Instead, these people are independent magistrates. And what are the qualifications necessary to be part of or to be a judge at International Court of Justice? The person must possess qualifications required in their respective countries. What are the qualifications necessary to be the court in the Supreme Court? That must be fulfilled by this particular person. Second, must be competent in international law. It's not only that you require or you possess the qualifications required in their respective countries. Besides that one, a person must be very competent, must be an expert in international law. These are the two things that are required to be, these are the two qualifications necessary to be a judge in International Court of Justice. So there are 15 judges elected for a term of 9 years, and elections are done every 3 years for 1/3 of the seats, and the members, they are independent magistrates. They do not represent their respective governments. And these are the two qualifications necessary. First one, must possess the qualifications necessary in their respective countries and must be an expert, must be competent in international law. And there are what are next topic, what you are going to learn is about what are the functions and powers of this International Court of Justice. There are 6 of them that you need to understand. The different powers and the functions of the International Court of Justice. So there are 6 of them. Let's see what are those 6 of them. The first one is the parties. And what does it mean? The parties means only member states can apply and hear before the court. If you are not part of UN, you are not eligible to apply a case in the International Court of Justice. So only member states can apply and appear before the court. So that's what is the term called the parties, which means only member states. Only member states can apply and appear before the court. Second, what are the sources of, second one is sources of applicable law. Sources of applicable law. Applicable law. Which means the court decides cases based on international treaties, international conventions, international customs, general principles of law, judicial decisions and teachings of a highly qualified people. So, when the court has to decide a case, it will take into consideration international treaties, international conventions, international customs, general principles of law, judicial decisions and teachings of highly qualified people. All these things will be taken into consideration when the court decides a particular case. That's what is the term called sources of applicable law. That's the second. And third one, voluntary jurisdiction. Voluntary jurisdiction. And what does it mean? Voluntary jurisdiction is to take up a case, to take up a dispute if the states concerned agree to take it to it. Which means the court is competent, which means the court can hear a particular case when the concerned states agree to take up this particular matter to the court. That's what it by voluntary jurisdiction. The parties, I said, only the member states can apply and appear before the court. But what do you by voluntary jurisdiction? Voluntary jurisdiction means the court is competent. It means the International Court of Justice can hear a case provided the states concerned agree to take this particular matter to the International Court of Justice. Okay, that's what it meant. Voluntary, which means that is a voluntary, that's optional power of an International Court of Justice. Now, what is a compulsory jurisdiction? Compulsory jurisdiction. Compulsory jurisdiction, there are three of them to be learned. The disputes that require interpretation of international law. Disputes that involve, cases that involve interpretation of international law. Second, it means the interpretation of international laws. When a case involves the interpretation of international law, it has to be taken up by the International Court of Justice. Second, compensation to be made when a violation of an international obligation happens. Compensation for violating an international obligation. Again, it comes under the compulsory jurisdiction of the International Court of Justice. And against the background, a large number of treaties provide that disputes are submitted to it. Which means the treaties that create dispute. Listen to these are the three compulsory jurisdiction of International Court of Justice. The first one, when a case involves the interpretation of international law. I hope it is clear for you. Second, when the compensation to be made for violating international obligation. Third one, the treaties that create disputes or problems between the countries. These are the compulsory jurisdiction of International Court of Justice. And next one is advisory jurisdiction. Advisory jurisdiction, which means to give advice, to give opinion to the international organizations, the 5 organs and the 16 specialized agencies of United Nations. Which means the International Court of Justice can give advice to international organizations, 5 different organs of United Nations and the 16 specialized agencies of United Nations. That's what you mean by advisory jurisdiction. The last one, that is codification. Codification of international law. This is the sixth one, that is, it examines, the International Court of Justice will examine international conventions, customs, judicial decisions and general principles of law for making an international law. Which means when they have to make a law at the international level, what happens? They will have to examine, they will have to study the international conventions, customs, judicial decisions and general principles of law before they make an international law. So these are the 6 powers and functions of an International Court of Justice. The first one, the parties, which means only the members can apply and before the court. Second, sources of applicable law. What are the sources that they have? The international treaties, conventions, customs, general principles, judicial decisions and the teachings of highly qualified people. Third one, voluntary jurisdiction, which means if the countries agree, the International Court of Justice can take up that particular case. Next one is compulsory jurisdiction, a case that involves the interpretation of international law, a compensation to be made for violating the international obligation against the background where treaties create disputes among the countries. Advisory jurisdiction, which means the International Court of Justice can give advice to the international organizations, 5 different organs of United Nations and the 16 specialized agencies of the United Nations. The last one, codification of international law. What are the bases they have? What are the foundation stones that they have? They will examine or they will study the international conventions, customs, judicial decisions and general principles of law before making an international law. So these are the 3 important organs of United Nations: General Assembly, the legislative body, Security Council, the executive body, the International Court of Justice, the judicial wing of United Nations. It is clear for you. So kindly go through the video once again and try to understand the explanation. And now we have got one more thing to be learned. Okay, the 6th one. So I had completed the 5 of them. We have one more thing to be learned. One more power and function of International Court of Justice. That is evolving procedures for peaceful settlement of disputes. Evolving procedures. It means what are the methods used by the International Court of Justice to settle a particular dispute. The International Court of Justice will give appropriate procedures and methods for settling a dispute, and the decisions of the court will depend on majority of judges present. It means when International Court of Justice has to take a decision, its decision will be based on the majority of judges present in the court. And what is the duty of the countries? The countries are obliged to follow the decision of the court. And if any party fails to follow the obligation given by the court, the matter will be taken to the Security Council. So this is how they settle the dispute. Which means the Court of Justice will provide appropriate methods and procedures for settling the disputes. And the decision of the court will be based on the majority of judges present. And the member countries, which means the countries that are involved in the case, they will have to follow, they are obliged to follow the decision of the court. What happens when the countries do not follow the decision of the court? This particular matter will be taken to the Security Council. So these are the 6 powers and functions: the parties, sources of applicable law, voluntary jurisdiction, compulsory jurisdiction, advisory jurisdiction, codification of law, and the last part, that is evolving procedures for peaceful settlement of disputes. How does the International Court of Justice settle a particular dispute? So that's the end of that particular chapter. The different organs of a United Nations: General Assembly, Security Council and International Court of Justice. I hope it is clear for you. Go through the video once again and complete the notes and prepare yourself for the exam properly. Okay children, thank you.